if you're live there. And just let me know. Go to Thompson page. All right, hey everyone, and welcome to another Facebook live session by Thompson Hospital Kota Damansara. I am Mina, and I will be moderating today's session regarding managing mental health during the pandemic. And I'm really excited to have here with me our consultant clinical psychologist, Shazima Mashud Shah. Hi Shazima, how are you doing?
Hi Mina, thank you for inviting me to actually do this thing with you. I'm good. I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Can you believe it? It's been close to a year in now, and we are here on our second lockdown and still battling this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are also perhaps still in disbelief and probably still wondering how long this thing is going to keep going on. So I think there's a lot of people who still have a lot of stress, anxiety regarding this issue, isn't it?
Exactly. All right. So we are here today because being blamed for your condition, right? And sometimes you've been called names, and perhaps you've even heard, people saying like, "Oh, it's just a phase," or you should toughen up, right? And I know some have also been discriminated through and through, and with like terms loosely thrown at you, saying like, or maybe I'm just going to say maybe you're a psycho or something like that, right? So this is us here today, raising our voice.
Nina, hi. Hello.
Below, and you could also ask anonymously through our DMs, and we are open for your questions, right? And also do not forget to share this video, because who knows that this might actually help someone who is going through a hard time, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right, so can you hear me? Okay, so
Sorry, Mina, but I think you're going on and off somehow or other. So if I would to ask you to repeat the question, it'd be great. So sorry
all
about
right.
that.
Sure, no worries at all. Right. So, Shazima, with this COVID-19 pandemic, we definitely we saw an increase in reporting of mental health disorders, and like I think the two common ones actually being anxiety disorders and also mood disorders. Perhaps you could, start by giving a short definition or explaining regarding these two disorders that we see that's increasing these days.
All right. I think, okay, so let me just start with depression. So a lot of people use the term depressed. I'm very depressed. I'm feeling very depressed very loosely, actually. But what it actually really means is that when someone says that they actually have depression, depression actually means that they have a disorder, perhaps, that, where they have low moods, feelings of sadness, and it's a few symptoms all together, bunched up together, such as the loss of motivation, they lose their functioning level in their daily activities. They may eat too much or they may eat too little, or they may sleep too much, they may also sleep too little. And also some people actually, a lot of people would say, I have suicidal thoughts. I don't want to live. I want to kill myself. Those type of things they may actually feel and they may actually say. So it's mood disorder. And once someone is diagnosed with it, generally, they will be going to seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist and to get help. All right. So for anxiety disorders, on the other hand, is that so how I would actually explain this to people who don't really understand what an anxiety disorder is. I would tell you about, okay, let's just go back to feeling nervous about something, right? When maybe you have to do a presentation and you feel nervous, but a person with anxiety disorder perhaps has that feeling maybe 10 times more than that. And most of the time, they have certain triggers that make them feel anxious, and the anxiety would be having symptoms such as they have chest pains, or they have dizziness, or they have dry mouth, they have fatigue, they lose their concentration easily, and they worry a lot, and they have fears about certain things, and they worry a lot about certain things. So they also may have panic attacks with the anxiety disorder, whereby they have difficulty in breathing, and they do not know when they actually will get panic attacks, I suppose, so they have difficulty in breathing, and it feels very difficult for them, and heavy chested, feel like they cannot breathe, and it's like as if they have a loss of control of what's going on with themselves. So that is just a
Yeah.
general idea of what anxiety disorder and depression is.
Yes, and I think with this COVID-19 pandemic, it has actually had a major shift and effect on most of our lives. And some are experiencing lockdown loneliness, and employment rates are increasing, and this actually leads to like financial worries. And also, working from home can also impact many of our mental health. So I'm coming to the first question is like, how do we actually cope with stress and anxiety during such of like pandemic of this scale, and also during lockdown?
All right. So, Mina, since we're already in the second phase of MCO, MCO 2.0. And I would say, like, right now, a lot of people have already gotten used to the idea of, like, it's a second lockdown. I sort of know what I need to do. But at the same time, I'm still feeling stressed, and I'm still feeling anxious about what's going on in my surroundings and what's happening. So, I would tell a lot of people that um, since you have already gone through this, you have already prepared for the what is to come, and what your financial status and how things may go on later on. So I would always tell any person that the way to actually go about it is that you may have to plan your life in this situation to actually make it easier for yourself. So if you think that you cannot do anything about your current situation now, what is the best thing that you can do for yourself? So I would tell people, like, if you're staying at home and you're stuck at home, and which is what is going on, everybody is basically stuck at home. You got to make the best out of it. You got to reframe your mind from, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to be stuck here forever," like, and this is not going to end and everything. No, what you can say to yourself, because whatever you think and you feel is the one which affects you generally. So if you think in a way that, okay, I am going to, make the best out of it. I'm going to use my time to actually do things that I have not done, and maybe do things that I have never thought I would do before. Find opportunities for yourself at home, because I think when we are on in the rat race, we always keep going and going and going, and we don't stop to think about what's going on. So this is a very big opportunity. I know a lot of people would probably tell me, "Oh, it's easier said than done." But to a certain extent, we do need to do that. And another thing that I would tell people is to stay close to their normal routine. So this would mean if you have to work from home, get up at that particular time that you actually need to, and you know, take your shower. Don't get out of the pajamas. Get into some working clothes. Keep that similar routine. If you actually generally spend a lot of time commuting to work, use that time to actually do something that is good for yourself. Basically, you feel like, I need to do this to actually process whatever that has been happening to me, or you meditate, or you actually watch some TV series that makes you happy, or something like that. Because I think research has shown that people actually kind of miss that commuting hour. That 1 hour I take to get to work is the time actually they actually
Yeah.
process what has happened to them. But now people don't have that anymore. So it kind of takes a very huge effect into their mental state, actually. So some of the things other than that, they also can avoid obsessing about the numbers of how many cases there are currently lah, because the more you actually obsess over it, the more anxious you get. So I would say there are a lot of things that we can do, but I would say, try to keep it as close to as normal as possible for you to be at home. So to your routine and to your, maybe even create a new ritual for you to do at home for yourself. And lastly, I would tell you, if you think that you cannot handle it by yourself and you need someone to talk to professionally, try to get help. Maybe like,
Mhm.
get an online counselor or someone who could actually help you to actually process what's going on, to help you out with your problems.
Yeah, definitely. And Shazima, we have actually also started a fun campaign called, hashtag quarantine di rumah. So for all of our followers out there, we actually want to see what you are doing during this lockdown, during this quarantine. So, take a photo and you can hashtag quarantine di rumah. And I think this is also a fun way for us to
No?
All right, Shazima, I'm back on.
Okay, all right. I lost
Can
you
you hear
there.
me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, all right. So just for our followers out there and who has joined this talk, feel free to send in your questions down at the comment section below, and we will address them accordingly. All right. So moving on to the second question, right? So, what are some of the warning signs that we can look out for that actually my mental health is getting out of control, and when is it that a person should actually consider consulting a professional?
All right. So this is a very common question that I get. And one of the ways I would tell you that you can actually consider seeing someone is, or that something's wrong with yourself, is when you notice that your functioning level has reduced. So, for example, every day I get up and I work from home, and I, have a certain list of tasks that I do, and I will complete those. And but at some point when I am feeling stressed, anxious, and maybe I have some sadness or depression going on, something's going on with my mental health, what will happen is the functionality of yourself will decrease. Some people, they notice that, okay, usually I'm able to do this much of work, even though I'm working from home, but why is it I'm unable to focus, I'm unable to do a lot of things, and I'm thinking a lot more about certain things, or I am having this sadness or the feelings of hopelessness, and it's stopping me from being myself. I'm no longer myself, or I'm not eating as much, I'm not sleeping as much, and your functioning level drops. Some people, they even just stay in bed the whole day because they cannot function anymore. Once you see that your normal functioning level has decreased, or someone else tells you, hey, what's going on with you, you seem like you're quite down, or you're not up to par to what you usually do, maybe something's going on with you. That is when you know that there is definitely something wrong, and that maybe this is the time to actually get some professional help. If you see that in one day that happened and then the next day you're back to normal, then it's fine. But if it goes on for a few days straight and you're still not getting back to a normal state of mood and how you are functioning, then I would suggest that you actually get help from a
Yeah,
professional.
and I think Yeah, and I think at the same time, it's also important to pay attention to maybe like a family member or a friend, because they might go through all this and you might, see changes in them too. And I think it would be good to like, keep
Yeah,
an
yeah,
eye.
it's very true, because sometimes some people have very low self-awareness, so they do not know what's going on with themselves, but other people would notice the changes. So you're very right and correct about that. Yeah.
All right, so we actually had a question that that came in earlier this week. So it goes something like this: I feel anxious about catching the virus, but I don't want to keep I don't want to keep staying in my room, and I feel trapped. Help. So do you
Okay.
have any advice?
Okay, so I would say I think a lot of people are feeling trapped, and I think a lot of people can relate to what this person has shared. And I would tell you this, I mean, of course, we need to adhere to all the rules and regulations and SOPs that has been put up by KKM. And I would tell you, yes, please keep doing it. But it doesn't mean that, you are not allowed to actually go out for a walk, go out to, walk around your neighborhood and
Yeah,
exercise. So like I think this time the MCO is quite different from what it was. We are allowed to go out for exercising. So I think that would really help a lot of people right now, that at least they know, like, I'm not really confined to my room alone. I can actually step out of the house and I actually can go for a walk every day, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, breathe in the fresh air and, get myself recalibrated. And it's very important that you actually do it for yourself. And yes, we all feel anxious about the virus. And it's good to a certain extent, we will have that anxiety. And the anxiety is the one which actually protects us from the virus. Because then we will always wash our hands, we'll make sure we sanitize ourselves. And, we will avoid, going out as much, and we would stay indoors. So even though you feel trapped, there is always ways out right now. And one more thing is that, which is what a lot of people have been telling, is to stay connected with other people, with your friends and your family, through video calls, normal calls, all sorts of things. So even like, the whole fun thing that you all have started, quarantine at home, can also mean that, you can actually snap a picture and let people know what you're doing at home, which is
yeah,
a very fun thing. So you can actually do a lot of fun things at home for yourself. So
yeah.
maybe, Mina, maybe this person has a lot of, thoughts about, I'm stuck, I'm feeling really stuck, I'm feeling really stuck. But here's my advice to you: stop thinking about that and just make it happen for yourself right now. Because if you know that, you keep thinking about it, that means there is something wrong about it and you need to stop. Sometimes the best thing to do is to distract yourself totally from those thoughts and do something which is out of the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right. So the next question that we have is, see, I already have anxiety disorder, and the media coverage can be triggering. What should I do? And I think this is especially true because there's so many like fake news that's going around, and yeah, I think it can trigger some sort of anxiety for people who are already experiencing that disorder, or those who are, on a day-to-day basis, they are reading all this news that's coming in, and that can be quite scary for them.
All right. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I do know of a lot of people who actually talk about this. And one thing that I think they need to understand is that, yes, this, because you're on social media all the time, this type of news will come out on your news feed. If you're able to do it, please just block all of this tabloid news from your media feed. But if you can't do that, then what you need to do is that you need to keep to a few reliable sources of information and only check those at a certain period of time. For example, every 5 o'clock, I will check, the KKM website, or, any news to say, to see what are the numbers of today, and to read the official news that has been released by KKM only. And I will not read anything else, because yes, we hear a lot of rumors, we hear a lot of things that's going on, we hear about new clusters, but those are certain things that we do not need to be worried about, as long as we stay safe by ourselves at home, and we're doing all the safety precautions as much as we are exercising all of those rules and regulations that KKM has come up with. So I think the key takeaway here is only look at information from reliable sources of information.
Yes, and I just want to say as well, like even if you follow our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram, we do share a lot of information when it comes to COVID-19. And in fact, we have also launched a new COVID-19 hotline. So at any time, you could just call in if you have any concerns, any doubts, if you want to know information about
Yeah, that's right.
COVID-19 test, or even admission in private hospitals now that they have opened doors for COVID-19 patients. Yeah, so definitely trust these mediums more than the ones that you
Yes,
see being
and
sent around.
that's right. So like another thing is to keep to a certain time only. Don't look at it all the time.
Yeah,
Don't look
yeah,
at it
don't
all
look at
the
it all the
time.
time.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to do, not to look at it all the time.
All right. So okay. So this next question is it's a bit heavy, but it says I have suicidal thoughts, and it seems like this pandemic is not going to end. And I feel hopeless. And I think even the Ministry of Health have actually reported that there's an increase in suicide attempts and also suicide cases. Especially starting last year during MCO. So, what will be your advice for this person?
The first thing I would tell to this person is that you're not alone. A lot of people are also feeling the same way as you are. And the thing that you need to remember is that you're not alone in this journey, and is always help available. So when you are feeling like this and you think that you need, help, you need to go and seek that help for yourself. Or you could talk to a friend and tell your friend that you're actually feeling this way, and this is what's happened in my life. And maybe your friend, so this is also for the other viewers who have friends who have this type of thoughts, and what you need to do for them is perhaps set them up for an online counseling, or bring them to a clinic, to see someone at this point of time, to actually bring them somewhere to actually seek professional help. Because of course it is overwhelming for the friends or the family to actually help them also, because sometimes you also don't know what to do. But I will guarantee you that if you bring them to a doctor or a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or someone who actually knows what to do, the person will be able to help this person. So maybe at this point it's quite difficult to reach, going out to the hospitals or to any clinics or anything like that at this point. But it doesn't mean that you cannot find anything online. There are a lot of hotlines outside, and free hotlines. Talian Kasih is there by the Kementerian, and there are a lot of places that you actually can reach out to. So if you don't find it comfortable for yourself to actually reach out to someone that you do not know at all, then reach out to your friend or your family, because you would think that you are burdening them, but actually you're not burdening them. They will be very happy to actually be there to support you. All right. Um,
Yeah.
and for those who have already depression and you are having suicidal thoughts, I would tell you more, maybe if you're already seeking help from a psychiatrist or a psychologist, if you're able to book an appointment with them and see them. If you are not able to do so for yourself at that point, what I would tell you is that figure out ways, how or what you can do at home to actually get yourself out of those low moods. And if you are not able to do it by yourself, get a friend to help you to do that. Because I'm telling you, a lot of people would like to help you, and if you reach out. So please do reach out if you're actually feeling lonely and you're having suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Right, Shazima. So sorry, just got cut off again. But anyways, and I think just to continue what you mentioned just now, I think there are also like NGOs out there
Yes, that's right.
with specific plans. Yeah, like
Yes, there's Befrienders
Mercy has.
KL. There's also
Yeah,
MMHA. there's a lot of places actually with a lot of hotlines, just like what you said, Mina. But and I think everybody has access to the internet these days. So the
Yeah,
only thing
definitely.
they need to do is to find out these places or Google it and find out where to actually call, and or do something for that. Find a place to actually talk to someone about their problems.
All right. Okay, so this next question is such a good question because I have actually witnessed it myself as well on like how people would actually mock those who have contracted this disease. And for those who are COVID-19 positive, sometimes they would just throw remarks like, "Oh, you are not hygienic enough, or you're not responsible enough." But sometimes it's just like a fluke of a moment that you're in a bad place at a bad time, and you end up being positive, right? So the question is, how do I offer emotional support to family members and friends who have actually been quarantined and tested positive?
All right. So I would tell them, like, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand about COVID-19 is that you're not very sure who has it and when you may be in contact with someone who has COVID-19. As much as everybody is trying to have social distance, you wash your hands frequently and all of these things can just happen just like that. And one thing that I would tell you is that how do we give emotional support is, I think, not to blame them for what has happened. It has happened already. How do we manage it from there on? Because I think what those patients of COVID-19 get is a lot of stigma from the friends surrounding them, and said, oh, I'm going to get it from you. See, now you have caused me to actually stay at home for so long and quarantine myself, and you've caused a lot of people trouble, just like what you said. But I think those people who are friends and family need to understand that right now the cases are quite high, and there's a chance that even you may find yourself in that situation someday. So if you were to think of it in that way, how you would want another person to treat you, when if you were in that situation, I would tell you to treat the other person who has COVID-19 in the same way. So it is about being thinking about the other person. That is one thing. Another thing is that emotional support from friends and family, those people who are around you. I think the thing that we could do for them is, I think, once again, a lot of communication, a lot of video calls, supporting them through that part where they feel the guilt that they may have given COVID-19 to people around them. And to actually just talk to them and listen to what is going on with their lives at that moment. If you're able to actually support them by maybe even sending food to them, or certain small little comforts would really definitely help them, I would say. So for me, I think when it comes to emotional support during COVID-19, I think everybody has to understand that you know no, everybody can find themselves in that certain situation. No matter how we would like to say that, I've been so careful, I've never been in outside without this, without that, but you do not know when it would hit you. So be mindful, be nice to people, be kind, because you will never know when that would happen to yourself. So my message to other people is that be kind.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. All right, so we had this question earlier this week as well. So the question goes something like this: I'm living with an abuser, and this person threatens me whenever I decide to leave.
Mm.
And this lockdown has made things more unbearable. I need your advice. And I think we saw this in the news as well. There was like definitely an increase of cases of abusing. And yeah, what is your advice, Shazima?
All right. So this is a very you see, okay, so when it comes to this type of situations right now, it's very difficult for this person to perhaps go out or even to talk to someone or to get social support from someone. But let's say, if the situation is really, really bad, like really, really bad right now, the easiest way to actually get help is if you can call 999, call the police, and they will actually really help you out. There are other organizations which also would actually give you advice on what are the steps you need to take to get out of the situation. For example, Women's AIDS Organization. Another place that you actually can give a call is Talian Kasih, because they also help those people who are in this situation right now. And they would actually give you some social support, number one. Number two, if you really want to get out, they will help you plan how to get out. So a lot of women who are anyone who is finds themselves in this situation, they really do feel trapped, and perhaps maybe they don't even have their phones, or they don't have a lot of ways to actually communicate outside of the house and things like that. So I would tell them, if you are able to connect with your neighbors or people who are around you, friends or family that you are in touch with, if you really need help from them, tell them that you need help, I need to get out. And you need to analyze who is it that would be able to help you in this situation, and who would actually take you seriously enough to actually help you out of the situation. Because a lot of friends and family, maybe, they probably don't really think what you're going through is as severe as you say it is, or maybe they don't see the threat, or they don't really believe you. So find that one person that you really tries to actually really help you out in this situation, and that person perhaps will be able to arrange a lot of things for you. So that's one thing. But I would tell you, if you're really stuck in that situation, try to figure out how you can contact certain hotlines like Women's AIDS Organization or Talian Kasih, to actually talk to someone, and they will give you all the steps in what you need to do to actually get out of the situation. If it's really bad, where you find yourself being physically abused, not just verbally abused but physically abused, that you really cannot take it, just give a call to the police. 999.
Okay, that is actually great advice, Shazima. And I think for those who are like hearing this advice, I'm pretty sure that it would be an eye-opening advice for them as well. And yeah, it might help someone who's actually going through the situation.
I hope so.
All right, so coming to the next question. Correct me if I'm wrong. OCD is also a form of a mental disorder.
Yes. Yes, obsessive compulsive disorder is also a mental health problem. Yeah.
All right. So the question that we have here is, how do I balance washing my hands enough and not become too obsessive of it?
Okay, so generally, if let's say someone has that, let's just say someone has that thought crossing their mind already, there is a high chance that they're already obsessing over washing their hands. That's the first indication. If you already have that thought, that means you're maybe already doing too much for, washing your hands way too much, and you're obsessing over washing your hands. So not an individual, generally, when we wash our hands, if we actually just wash our hands according to, all the stipulated ways to wash your hands, there are steps to actually make sure that you cover your whole hand, right? And if you have done it the correct way and you've done it once, it should be more than enough already, I would say. But some people still wash their hands once or twice, and just make sure. And I think that is normal to a certain level. But let's say it goes more than that, and you keep thinking that, oh my God, I still have some kind of germs on my hands. I can't see it, but I feel like that my hands are not clean enough. I feel like my hands are not clean enough, and I stand at the sink and I keep washing my hand, then definitely, yes, that it's already an obsession already, or even a compulsion, mean that you're actually, acting on your obsession. So generally, I would tell you, if to keep a balance or not obsessing over it, is that if you follow the rules, the SOPs, washing your hands, sanitizing your hands once or twice, and you already done it once, you should just let go of it actually, and be confident about it. But if you find yourself that you're obsessing over it, that would mean that you already may have OCD, and you may need professional help for you to actually get to a place where you are you are comfortable and you're no longer obsessing over it. So I would tell you, if you're already obsessing and you're already doing this way too many times and you think it's too many times because someone has actually mentioned, I think you've washed your hands way too many times already, it's time for you to seek professional help. Because me just talking to you right now, Mina, and telling them, okay, you need to stop thinking and everything, it's not really going to work.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot more therapy to actually
Yeah.
get
Easier
someone to
said than
have
done.
that mindset to actually change their thoughts and their behavior together. So that is my
Yeah.
advice to
Easier said
people.
than done, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, moving on to our next question. I think this is very relevant to all the parents out there. So, especially now that some kindergarten is open. I think school is still not open yet, right? Tell me. Bukan lagi kan? Yeah. So yeah, how do I actually talk to my children about COVID-19 without making them feel anxious about it? Because sometimes you can convey it in a certain manner that it just causes like a panic or something like that.
Okay, so
So
usually what I would tell a lot of parents is that you need to come up with a script first. You don't go unprepared to talk to your child about what is COVID-19 and how bad is it and what's going to happen after this. So before you go and talk to your child, think of a script on what is it I want to tell, what I need to convey to them, and how much do I convey to them. Because what happens is usually parents end up stumbling and saying things that would cause more anxiety to the child, because most of the times they don't really need to know that much. They need to know what are the important things. All right. Children with anxiety would mean that they would start thinking, oh, this is going to happen to my mom, my dad. They go out for work. They may get it and they bring it back to me, or they may get sick, and a lot of things. They will start imagining things. So I would tell you, first and foremost, you research what is it you want to say to them. Okay, this COVID-19 is this, and okay, so how do we keep ourselves safe? Okay, and if you have a lot of questions, if the child has a lot of questions, let the child ask you the questions and be reassuring that things are going to be better or get better. And you tell what is needed. Don't give them more than don't tell them what type of where did it come from, how is it going to affect your body system, and all of these things. No, you don't really need to tell them too much details. Just keep it short and simple, I would say. And as time passes, try not to talk about COVID-19 in front of your children, because children tend to, what happens is that they will take certain information and then they'll come up with some kind of conclusion in their head, and they start thinking all the things that you would never think of. If I touch this person, the person, I'm going to get COVID-19, and if I get COVID-19, I'm going to pass it on to someone else. And they do not know what it is actually, because generally they actually take certain scripts from your conversation with other people and put it together and make their own story. So it would be best that you just avoid talking about it in front of them. So even if a close family member or a relative has COVID-19, just try not to talk about it in front of them. You want to tell them that, this person is sick and at home. Yeah, you can tell that to them and tell them like, oh yeah, but don't worry, he is in the hospital right now and everything is being taken care of. So you give them the facts that you want them to know, and you allow them to actually ask you questions about it so that they can clarify about it. So I would say in a certain amount of periods of time, like at least 2 or 3 days or 4 days, or maybe even in 1 week, you ask, do you have any questions about COVID-19? I know this is happening, we haven't started school, but I'm sure you heard some things. Do you want to know something about it? Ask them, because they would, if they do have questions, then they will ask you. If not, then you know that they're not worried about anything or anxious about anything. Yeah.
yeah, all right. Shazima, yeah, just speaking about managing mental health during the pandemic, I think it's also very applicable for our frontliners and our work force, and I bet they are going through tremendous like amount of pressure and stress as well. So I guess we will wrap up this session with our last question, is which is how can we make mental health and self care and ongoing priority. And when I talk about this, it's just generally for, for us, and also, the healthcare workers and the frontliners out there.
All right. Okay. So if I were to say this, I would tell you that a lot of people take it for granted that they're doing okay every day in their lives, and they don't really stop and think about how they are doing. So I would tell you that to actually make it an ongoing priority is to actually ask yourself, how am I doing today, every day? Am I feeling, if you are not a person who can identify with emotions or thoughts or things like that, figure out what those emotions are that is usually, your normal, and see whether it deviates from the normal. Okay, am I stressed today? Am I happy today? Am I sad today? Am I feeling very overwhelmed today? What's going on with myself? I would tell you to check yourself every day. Ask that question to yourself. And if you actually find yourself answering, okay, something's not right with me today, I'm just very tired and I'm mentally, you know, uh, strained, and there's a lot of things going on, then you would actually be more mindful about how you feel and what your thoughts are saying to you about yourself. So another thing I would tell people to do is that end of the day, process whatever has happened throughout the day for yourself. Even to the frontliners, to all the frontliners, because their days are perhaps the longest, because they have to work from, their shifts are really long, and they don't even know the difference between today and tomorrow. So I would tell them,
Yeah.
my advice to them is to, okay, every 8 hours or 9 hours, I will ask myself and process what has happened today. 9 hours, in these 9 hours, what has happened and how did it affect me, and what am I taking from it? Because you need to process those emotions, you need to process those feelings and those thoughts that came with it, so that you can actually move on from it and start your day fresh, so that you don't bring it forward to your next day, so-called day for them, I would say. So that is my advice to people out there, and to the frontliners, to everyone out there, because right now we are staying at home day and night. Some people don't know the difference between day and
Yeah.
night also. So
Yeah.
that is very important, I would say. So and one more thing I would tell people to do is at least take 20 minutes, if you can, 30 minutes to do this. Some people have their ways of self-care, and they say, my self-care, I know a friend who does this, is to actually read novels. And she has a meal and she read novels. She just takes 10 to 15 minutes to just zone out a little and to take care of herself. Some people, they say, okay, I'm going to watch this funny video for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and this is just for me to feel good about myself. Yeah. So for me, it would be,
Yeah.
I like chocolate. So it would be like, I'll go to chocolates and I'll find a bar of chocolate and eat that and enjoy it really. And be mindful about what you're doing at that point of time, and actually really feel that that is what you're doing for yourself. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I would also like to add, that, seeking for help is actually a sign of strength, because more often than not, people take it as a sign of weakness, right? And and is also imperative to remember that actually therapy and treatment is effective, right?
Yes,
And
it
that
is.
people who get appropriate care, they can actually recover from your mental illnesses, and eventually lead to like full and rewarding life. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you have anything to add to that.
Yes, definitely. I will tell you this, Mina. I have had clients who come in, and they just need like 1 or 2 sessions, and they are fine after that. So they feel so much better after 1 or 2 sessions. And if you think that therapy is like something that is a very long process, ongoing, no, it really depends on the person, and it really depends what you're coming there for. And it can give you so much of clarity that you perhaps, which I have heard a lot of people say, I should have done this a long time ago. So I think in Malaysia there's a lot of stigma about going for therapy, and I hope that we can actually you know, get rid of that myth, and you know, and that, you
Yeah.
know, therapy, it means that you are mentally unstable ke, you gila ke. Oh no, I hope that is gone already, because uh you know, generally what you do in life when you talk to someone is very, very very good for yourself, and you, because no man is an island, you don't live all alone, and you don't live separated from the world. Sometimes you need someone else to actually give you perspectives on your own life, so that you actually can do better in
Yeah,
life.
yeah, and I hope that this discussion, actually managed to break that stigma for some of you out there. And please don't forget to share this video, because you may not know that it actually might help someone who's going through a hard time during this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Shazima, with that, we have actually come to the end of our session.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for spending your afternoon with.
Okay, thank you very
It
much.
was a pleasure talking to you.
Yes.
Yeah, and for our followers out there, if you want to send in your photos, tag us. You can hashtag quarantine di rumah. We would love to see what you're doing at home. I know there are a lot of fun things that people are, trying for the first time and stuff like that. So with that, stay safe, look out for one another, and take care.
All right, bye.
All right.
Are we still on?
Oh, hold on, yeah. How do we
All
save
right.
it? Is it will save automatically ke apa? End dulu. End.